Everybody, thanks again for being here. So we're going to be leading the case. My name's Sarah. I'm from Vancouver, Canada. Really happy to be here.
Hi, my name is Reg Tucker. I'm a professor at LSU. So I teach entrepreneurship there. As she said, we're going to be leading the case and looking forward to doing that with you.
My name's Eli Hall. I actually teach graphic design at Colorado Mesa University. So I come at it with a design perspective and just question it in a different way than a lot of entrepreneurial business students would.
Good deal. All right, so first of all, we just want to thank you guys for being here. I would sort of get us started and lead everyone off. We're talking about understanding the nature of a good opportunity. And I know that some of you just read the case, but I think you'll still be able to participate as we go further today doing this. So before we dive into it, we might have to understand first what is an opportunity. So I'll provide you with that definition, an opportunity. And sometimes in business we can see something might be an opportunity or an idea. So I'll provide you with that definition as well. An idea is a thought, impression, or concept with potential to become an opportunity. Okay, so that still begs the question, what is an opportunity? Well, an opportunity is a favorable set of circumstances that creates a need for a new product, service, or business. I'll write that down. So with that definition, what that allows us to do is sort of have a framework for understanding the opportunity or idea that's in the IntelliFit case. And the framework that I'm talking about is, do we see a favorable set of circumstances? Is it creating a need for a new product, service, or business? So that's sort of the framework we'll use to understand the opportunity or idea in the IntelliFit case. Now, before going forward, I'm actually going to call on Anu to summarize the case for us. Do you mind doing that? Okay.
So it's about a company called IntelliFit that was founded earlier in the decade, and they created this technology called the body scanner that you just go inside. It's kind of like the scanners at the airport where they check to ensure you don't have explosives. And what they envisioned it to be is that it would scan you and help you pick the right size clothes for you, so that you wouldn't have to get clothes that weren't the best fit for you.
Very good summary of what's going on. Anybody want to add anything maybe you think is critical that I knew may have left out? Okay, it's a very good summary of the case. So going forward now, I'm going to actually turn it over to Eli as he'll give a perspective on some of the ways you can look at this opportunity. I don't know if you need it. Yeah.
Okay, so now a lot of you raised your hands when you summarize the case, but to be clear, it's a body scanner. They're wanting to put it into mall spaces and have humans walk through it and accurately scan your body, and then those numbers would help you get the right size fit. I saw a lot of problems with this. Like I said, I teach design at Colorado Mesa University, and so my question to you is, how many of you, just off show of hands, aggressively, would actually use this? Okay, now I'm going to present some cons first to see if you would change your mind, okay, because I saw a lot of problems with this. So you have this box. So you physically go in and digitally you come out. Now, where have we already had problems with this? with people accepting this? I was taught to be really quiet and just wait because I know you guys can come up with the answer, but where would they have problems with this?
Well, at the airport, people don't really like this thing because you can kind of like, you see underneath the clothes.
Right. So, but because what's the big thing that happens when you're forced to use technology that you don't want to use? There's a trust issue, right? People have a hard time with TSA saying, hey, look at everything on me and having this. There's actually been screenshots of people shooting the screen that you walk through and you can see a woman's shape or something like that, right? All kinds of issues with that. Are those files deleted or are they kept? They're obviously kept. So some of the problems that I saw with this is, from a designer's perspective, brands, especially brick and mortar brands or hybrid brands that are online as well, they spend millions of dollars to create trust, okay? To where when you walk into a store such as, I just forgot the name of it. It'll come back to me. Okay. Basically any retail store, the Gap was used in here a lot as well, but if you expedite the process of trying on clothes in a brick and mortar space, you have less time with the brand itself. There's less opportunity for their employees to work with you. There's less opportunity for you to touch and feel the different clothes because if you already know the size, you spend less time going through there. Okay, there's a lot of less tactile experience. So one of my issues with this was just that the brand loyalty, I believe, would drop. And that's probably the most important thing out of all the other stuff that I found is that if we start going down this road with this idea, why not just get rid of brick and mortar altogether and just do everything online? Because if that's one step closer to that, it's just gonna be that much harder for you to have that physical loyalty and that physical relationship with the brand, okay? And I feel like this is one of those situations. So when it talks about are they creating a need or is the need actually there, right? Not even half of you raise your hands, right? Which proves the point. I don't think the need's there yet in this space. And so another thing is that the tech, what does technology do now? It looks like this. You guys are too quiet. I know it's Saturday. Come on. What does technology do? Even in your lifetime, this has happened. If this is a chart. It keeps evolving, but it doesn't keep evolving at the same rate. It's exponential, okay? Every release of any technology keeps getting faster in a shorter amount of timeline. And so my point is, for how much was it per unit? It's $50,000 a unit, okay, per store or per mall in some situations, right? My problem with that is that, and I'm very familiar with retail on the brand side of things, it's a big investment to put into it that could just be a physical thing that's worthless in in a very short period of time. Because just a few weeks ago already, there is Wi-Fi technology that does the same thing, okay? This room could have the Wi-Fi system in it. There doesn't need to be a physical box, and it could scan every one of us. And that's real, and it's already happening. So proving that, the speed of technology changes is going to be a big issue when it comes to this. You guys tell me one issue that you found, so I don't just recite the whole case to you. What do some people already have problems with it in there?
The inaccuracy of it.
The inaccuracy, right. Mistakes. What was wrong with that? Did that help brand loyalty or hurt brand loyalty? Hurt it, especially if it errs on the side of what? If it makes me fatter than I already am, it's going to make me mad. I don't want to go there. They don't see me the way it is, right? And so the mistakes are a big issue. Again, people's bodies do what all the time, whether they're dieting or what? They change. And so if you know that you're supposed to use this machine to expedite things, there's this situation, there's a lot of people that just aren't going to do it, right? I mean, we have a very fat country already. And so there's already an issue happening with, now you're exposing this to everybody that's out there. And which brings me to something else, talking to a few people yesterday, a data breach. Does it happen?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've already had my credit card my pro card from my school compromised twice in the last 8 months. And the bank is pretty much telling me that it's just, if I shop online, which I do, it's the norm. And you're just going to have to get used to this. And I think it feels very outdated, like something should change. But when it comes to this technology, the data breach is a huge issue because your body scan's out there, right? And if it's in a retail setting, it doesn't, we already heard just a couple years ago when Target lost millions of people's credit cards. How is Target's database, going to be able to keep your sizes? Is that important to you or not? Which adds a question that's more rhetorical today and not part of this conversation, but I think it's something that you guys should be asking yourself all the time. Are you past the point of giving a shit about your data or not, right? So how many people would care if your body scans were out there and could be used? Just like 2 people? So the rest of you don't care? Yeah? Okay, awesome. Ask that to a 45-year-old, right? Somebody's had a couple babies, somebody who likes craft beer, whatever. It starts to, your feelings change as you go through life, okay? Okay, I think do you guys have anything to add to the cons of this technology? I'm going to call on somebody. You have to give me something. All right, good.
It just seems pretty cumbersome in the sense that I already hate going into a dressing room, but if I had to go into this box and it was like, hey, you're size X or like whatever, and I'm probably not going to just take their word for it. I'll probably go try that size on, and so now I've just added another step to my shopping process.
That's a good point. I didn't even think about that.
Which is like the longer we go on, like society wants the fastest shopping process they can get.
Yeah.
So like, I think it's almost kind of backtracking just in the sense of like, now you're adding another step.
And I may be entirely wrong, but I'm willing, with the companies that I've worked with, it is always a fight. But I feel like your statement about everybody wants it to go faster, I think speed is one of the factors in it. But just yesterday, for example, I went to this beautiful building with this cool coffee shop in the middle of it. I don't know where I was. I just found it across it. You guys know what I'm talking about? Yeah? All right, it's pretty cool. But the point was, it wasn't in any way set up for me to go fast. I had to walk through retail spaces on both sides. It was set up in a way that I'm supposed to stop and enjoy this experience. And I think that that experience is something that brands are going to keep fighting for, right? I mean, that's their bread and butter is for you to slow down, okay? And so I think that clothing's no different, that they're approaching, that speeding it up isn't going to help them. It's only going to hurt them.
Right.
So but I do think making it more cumbersome is absolutely a good part of it. Anybody else?
Well, you would still need fitting rooms in each room because not everyone would want to use that, and also not everyone would trust it. So you'd have a random box in every store because every store's sizing and fitting is different. Just standing there, I feel like it would be very inconvenient space-wise and efficiency.
Good word. Okay, efficiency, awesome. Yeah.
I think if the box told you your size and it delivered that size in that article in the same box, then that's a different story.
You just walk through and like, and it's already paid for too.
Futuristic.
And it's already paid for. Now, if I could walk through a box and get my clothes and it's paid for, that's different. But then you don't need a brick and mortar anymore, right?
Yeah,
you just got a big box behind it that, it's basically the Amazon box at Whole Foods right now.
Exactly.
You just, okay, cool. So yeah, see, so then that lies a bigger argument. So cool, we got some cons. I'm gonna pass it over to Sarah now. She's got the pros, and we'll see if she can change your mind.
Yeah, so when we were preparing and we read this case, we had a little debate between us. Eli was like, this is never gonna work, it's no good, and I was like, sign me up, I wanna do it. So I'm the pro side. But before I get started, let's do another poll. Who would use this technology? Okay, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so we got 10 people. So you've used most of the board here. Let's go pros. So what do you guys like about this technology, or what do you like about the concept in general? I know some of you put your hand up for wanting to use it. Why would you use it? Yeah.
If it was actually accurate, then I feel like it might take like
Yeah, so from the opposite perspective, our lives are getting busier and busier. We have so many things to do. We're always looking for ways to save time, right? So the opposite concept of Eli, if a brand can save me time and I have to spend, 5 minutes as opposed to an hour in a change room, maybe it would be helpful. Or if I already know that my sizing for a particular brand, then I could come back for another visit and it would be easier the next time. Yeah.
I think it almost includes a consultative type of service also, because there's probably people that don't know how their clothes are supposed to fit them. And so they might pick out the wrong size by themselves, but they understand that they're relying on the company who built the product themselves or built the item themselves. And so they know the way that it's supposed to fit.
Right, so there's actually an added level of service maybe with the technology. It doesn't have to be a box that's in the corner. It could be, something that's advertised, right? If you've gone through and looked at, if you got to the end of the case and saw the 3 different types of kind of markets that they were looking at, for example, a specialty store where somebody really cares about fit, their wedding dress, they want it to be perfect. And if they can improve the technology and it is quite accurate, then that adds that extra layer of service and quality and attention to detail. And maybe that's an advertising technique for the company, right? They might advertise that they have that technology that makes them even more more of a destination to go to because of that. Anything else? Any other pros or reasons why you would like this opportunity or think it might work? Yes?
I think it prevents confusion, especially like people that get custom-made stuff. Just makes it a lot easier. There's no like 2 people giving different measurements and stuff like that.
Right. Somebody summarized the first model. It's on like the first or second page. What did that involve? What did the first model or the first idea that they had involve?
Custom clothing.
Yeah, how many measurements did they have to do?
38.
For one of them, there's 38 different measurements, so that's pretty cumbersome, right? That's pretty tedious. So what about the box process makes it less tedious? Other than the measurements, what are some other benefits?
You don't have to worry about other people coming in and measuring you.
Right, so it's less invasive. You don't have somebody touching you and measuring you. Like, has anybody ever gone for custom clothing or for a fitting for something? A lot of you have. I know I have, as a bridesmaid, gone in and had to get everything, and it's a little bit uncomfortable sometimes, right? Not everybody's happy with people being in your personal space, so that's a great point. So less invasive. Anything else? What about, did the case say something about clothes? You don't have to take off your clothes. So in addition to it being less invasive, you also don't have to take off your clothes. So again, makes the customer more comfortable, maybe, right? And yeah.
I also think it's easier for the company. I worked at Brooks Brothers. A lot of times people would come in and they forget what their size is, so you have to like remeasure them.
Okay.
And then sometimes you might get a different measurement
Right.
than like someone else. And so basically by having it like in the system, it just makes it much easier for the company to know exactly what size they are.
Okay. So the case did talk about how the data is kept. It's on an aggregate level. A lot of, as we kind of grow in our technology, databases are becoming more and more, it's just part of life is that companies have your data. Like how many, websites have you gone to where you've had to say okay to cookies and all these different things, and you can't even use the website unless they are tracking you or looking at what you're looking at, right? So maybe as a society we're becoming less bothered by having a company having our measurements, especially if it is on an aggregate level, right? Anything? I think the other thing I was talking about was that it's kind of a large, it's a spacious unit. So kind of going into service and less invasive. You're walking into a unit and you don't feel like it's claustrophobic or that somebody's touching you, so some more benefits around there. Anything else? Yes?
Well, I feel like it could save consumers money because potentially, like I personally, I don't go into the fitting room, and then if it doesn't fit at home, I don't return it. I'm sure other people are like that too.
Right, so that's a great one. Returns, right? And returns not only benefit the customer, right? Why would returns be good for, the idea of returns be good for the company?
Well, like going off that, like less alterations if you've got the exact size.
Sure, yeah, less alterations. Less steps in that process, right? Returns, so good for the customer because the customer doesn't have to keep coming back. I think we've talked a lot about this whole process, you know. Decreasing your touch points is not necessarily a bad thing in this case if it saves you time and money and also makes you a more satisfied customer in the end, right? Would you agree? But also, why is returns good for the company? Why is decreasing returns good for the company? Finance? It's a very simple answer. Yes?
Pay restocking fees.
Yeah, tons of cost savings, right? First of all, the customer keeps the product, so you don't have to return the money to them, right? You keep the funds. Restocking fees. How much time does it take somebody, like an employee, to do a return as opposed to a sale? How annoying is it when you're standing in line waiting to pay for something and the person in front of you is returning something? So you're decreasing the time again, and that's good for the customer, right? So for both the company and the customer. Yes?
It says it lets people see how clothes would fit if they were thinner.
Okay, yeah, so people change, right? So you can see, you know, if I lost 5 pounds or gained 5 pounds, what would that look like? So again, all of these things, in my mind, are adding extra services for a customer. So I think that's all of mine. Less hassle, good fit, time saving. Okay, so now that we've done the pros and cons, and I won't be upset if less of you put up your hand or more of you, but let's do another poll. Who would use this technology, or who thinks that this is a good idea or an opportunity? Okay, 1, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11, all right, I could have counted wrong. That's definitely possible, but maybe we had one person switch. I think we have a little bit more time, so maybe we could talk about the different markets. There's 3 there. Which one do you like the best and why? Which market do you think that this technology would work the best for? Let's write them down so we have them. So somebody say the first one? Malls. Retail chains. And specialty retailers like the Big and Tall or the bridal shop, right? So, hands up for who likes the mall. All right, we got 2, we got 3, good, okay. Who likes the retail chain? No one, oh, one person likes it. I like it too, so 3? 3, okay. 3 with me. Specialty retailers. Woo! Maybe that's the winner today. All right, I'm not even going to count. I'm just going to say majority. So why? Oops. Creative spelling. Yes?
I just have a question. When you
Yeah.
say retail chains, what do you mean? Because I'm thinking like JCPenney or like the Gap, which are usually like hanging.
Right. So as opposed to having the machine in the middle of the mall, it would be in one of the retailers, but not a specialty retailer. So when we think specialty, like a wedding dress or big and tall specific things. Does that make sense? Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Okay, so your last
Okay, you got your,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Your last question was whether or not you would use it, but then you also paired it with, do you think this is a good opportunity?
Good,
And I
good
was pretty
point.
torn because I'm not going to use it because I've been like a pretty consistent size
Right.
for a while now. Like I think I've got my size down to a T.
Yeah.
To the point that I can online shop. But there are people whose weights are constantly evolving, or people who need like more customized sizes,
Mhm.
and I think this would be really good for them. So
Mhm.
like pregnant women, like they're constantly having to go sizes up, and then after they're like they have a baby, they're having to go sizes down. Like that would be great for them. Or
Right.
people who are trying to like extreme diet or whatever their like occasion is, I think they could appreciate a tool like this. It's just for me personally, I don't really need something like
Right,
this.
right. No,
I would say if you're pregnant, would you put yourself in a new technology?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, you can't.
Think about
I mean, it's been out for years in the airport, and they're
Yeah.
still not doing it. And
Yeah,
so,
that's true actually.
even though they
Yes,
swear
I
it's
guess if
safe.
you put that in there, then that kind of makes it a little counterproductive. Because I thought that would be like that would be the perfect idea, but then when you add technology in, like it's a little bit, people are
Yeah.
really hesitant, especially when they're pregnant.
Yeah. What was your name?
Sydney.
Sydney. Sydney brings up a really good point, though. Aside from like this technology part and everything, is that the difference between would you actually use this technology or would you use the product versus do you think it's a good opportunity and can you evaluate it from that perspective, right? Because you're not going to use every product, like baby bottles, like or a revolutionary new way of baby bottles, like or markers. You might not all be ever using markers, but you can still evaluate it whether it's a good opportunity or not based on these kind of criteria. So that's a great point. So anybody else want to give a kind of why did they choose specialty retailers? Yes.
I feel like that's when you're really going in to get measured and checked out and stuff. And I feel like if I go to a retail chain or something, I'm just gonna like buy the shirt and it doesn't fit, I don't really care. But like with the specialty retailers, you're getting stuff tailored, you're getting stuff measured for you. And I feel like you'd still try on the clothes at the specialty retailer, but at least then, I feel like that's just like an added kind of gimmick that they can do.
Yeah.
Versus like a retail chain or a mall. Also, I feel like a retail chain, it would like take too long. There'd be too many people waiting in line and stuff. And versus specialty retailers, there's usually like not a lot of people in there, so you have time to actually go through something like that.
Right. Yeah. Yes.
I mean, by putting body scanners in specialty retailers, you're completely killing a job market that's out there. Like, a lot of
Interesting.
families feed off of their mothers or fathers being tailors.
Right, so these kind of external factors that you don't necessarily think about when you're evaluating something. Yeah.
There'd still be a need for tailors though, because even when you buy silver, they still tailor it, bring it in, like you still try it on, put pins in, you take it in a little bit. So
Right.
You'd still like relying on that. It's just the measuring part for that employee that would be easier.
Right, right. Yeah, you both bring up great points. I mean, maybe it's the people aren't obsolete, but also maybe in the future, if this becomes really big, they might be like self-checkouts, right? Who's used a self-checkout? Everybody, pretty much. So the good points, right? These external factors that you don't really think about. And what is also important about the employees and the technology. They have to learn how to use it, right? So there's that cost as well. There's training. In the first one, they talked about actually having somebody from IntelliFit staffing that booth. What do you think about that idea? What type of company is IntelliFit? Yeah. They're a technology company, right?
I still think it's a good idea.
Okay, why?
Because they know how it works properly, and it's talking about less invasive. It's a less invasive way to get into the store in the first place, by
Right.
not having to pay to train your employees to do something that's so different technology than it is retail building.
So how would you feel if you went into a specialty store and you had somebody that didn't work for the specialty store but worked for this technology company assisting you and helping you? Not saying it's bad or good, I'm interested in your thoughts.
I would love that.
You would
the
like it.
expert is the person who's doing it for me, as opposed to somebody who was trained on it 15 minutes ago. And,
Right.
doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily know how it works.
So maybe it depends on how it's marketed to the customer as well, right? How you position and message it. If it's just in, as you said, if it's just in the back of the store and nobody's really using it and there's dust on it, versus if it's a prominent thing and, hey, we've hired this company to come in and provide this amazing experience that takes you, it's less invasive, takes you less time and all these different things. But what's kind of the crux of it? Yeah.
But at the same time, like, the employees of these companies know the product better. So there's I worked at Brooks Brothers, and you would get different like models, and they would change like literally by season.
Right.
The way things fit, there were all different types of fits. So the people working for TeleFit would kind of have to almost be like employees of the company if they were to know, like, how all these things fit. So
Right.
kinda,
Yeah. There's a lot of specialization that might go into it, right? Which strengthens the point of maybe that's the quote unquote better market, per se. It's a good point though, and maybe that goes into the con list of the fact that there's new seasonal trends and there's, different clothes are always changing. Delta is just changing. So basically the crux that I was getting to was that it actually has to work, right? In order for this to, the technology has to work, it has to be able to adapt to the new modifications of each different type of clothes. And so that's really, somebody talked about the mistakes, right? So work needs to go in to perfect this for it actually to be useful, to pay, for valuable to the company, right? So there's no right answer. Do we have a kind of, do we know what happened?
I don't think we followed up to see what happened.
Okay.
If you didn't, I didn't.
Yeah.
I've never seen one before.
Yeah, you've never seen one before. They're not out there. So this was 2004 when the case was written. It's quite a long time ago now. I've never seen one. We've definitely seen them in the airport. But now I think that we'll get you to transition into thinking a little bit differently about this technology in this case. And I'll hand it over to Reg to spur your mind on that.
Okay, so yeah, we're still talking about understanding the nature of an opportunity. So before we sort of shift gears and take a different approach to this, what do you guys think? Is there a favorable set of circumstances that makes this an opportunity? And if so, what are those favorable set of circumstances? I know you didn't want to summarize the case, but do you think there's a favorable set of circumstances?
Well, I personally don't see this being a good idea.
Okay.
So
It's hard to find the circumstances, so you might agree more with Eli that I don't see the circumstances that are favorable. Where do I go from here? Sydney?
I guess it would be that our society is evolving more into a technological phase or age. So the circumstances being that people are really excited by new technology, and that's pretty favorable as this is new technology.
Sometimes we just want to try new technology for technology's sake. I want to stand in here and just see what it does, right?
So this has been used at the airports, right?
Yes.
So a good circumstance would be 9/11, right?
Okay. All right, so let's use that to shift gears. So you read this case, and you're sort of primed to give an answer. Good opportunity, just a good idea. But if you shift gears a little bit and use some creative fluidity, I think that's the word I heard yesterday. What else might this be used for? If you want to say, I'm not sure in the retail space about clothing, what other circumstances exist that make this perhaps a good opportunity? Because we're sort of talking about the technology now. So you said 9/11. What other favorable circumstances exist where we could perhaps use this technology?
Use it for athletic teams, for equipment.
Say it again?
Athletic teams, for like equipment and like jerseys and like usually like athletes like Tiger pick clothes.
Okay.
So,
Thanks. So athletics, fitting football pads, and I mean whatever sport we could think of, it could help us do that. What other circumstances exist that might be favorable where we could see this technology being used? So you said schools. In what way could we see that in schools?
I mean, if they could make it, like a bigger scale, where it's like when you walk in the front door of the school, it's kind of something that you like stand in for a second.
So for security,
Security, yeah.
Okay.
you could double up.
Yeah.
Just-
There was a hand over here. Yeah.
Maybe for like people with like disabilities and stuff, it's probably tougher for them to get fitted and measured for clothes. So maybe they could use a machine like that almost more than somebody who was like not disabled.
I mean, I think it's excellent. I didn't even think of that. It's very creative.
Or if you think about like maybe like someone with like a mental disability like autism or something, their parents go get them measured for clothes and they can't really get them to stand still, if they could just stand in that machine for a second or two. I think that would help a lot.
Yeah, I think you're onto something there, Sydney.
Not only that, but like for physical disabilities, what about people that are in like a wheelchair? I'm curious as to whether or not would they be able to go into this machine because of their chair?
No, it's actually the way I read it.
Okay, so they would be able to.
Yeah.
Because that would be really helpful.
Yeah.
Just because like you never know what their reason for being in a wheelchair is, but I can't imagine having to go to a fitting room, have to have someone help you, and I think like the process would be a lot more simplified for them because depending on how accurate it is, they could rely on the measurements that they're given. They can check out from there. They don't have to go through the hassle of like having someone aid them in trying on a new pair of jeans.
Mm-hmm. What else? Other circumstances that exist where this might be favorable to use this technology? I haven't heard from you today. What do you think? Where might you be able to use this or employ this? If at all. If you don't think so, that's fine too. Okay. Time? Good? 10 minutes? Okay.
5 minutes plus some questions.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
There's one that we came up with yesterday that I want to just reinforce the fact that I read the case, we're like, is there a better opportunity somewhere? Okay. So we came up with, and actually the athletic equipment, who came up with that? That was awesome. I didn't think of that. But it's video games. Because here's a very safe space where a lot of people would use it around the world. And you could create your own avatar right away. Because if your data of your size, we walk through and you come out on the other side, and all of a sudden you have this totally customizable personal avatar, I think you could get a lot of people using this in a different aspect. So I think there's more of an opportunity in that situation. And there's less of these problems that we have because it's for pure entertainment, right? And a lot of people are putting money into that. So I think if you add video games to this list, then all of a sudden the opportunity becomes less risky. What do you think?
I definitely think it would work better for something like video games, something that's more for entertainment. Because if you go into a store and you're using it for size, like yeah, the size could be correct, but it doesn't mean you like it on you, so you might return it anyway because you don't like it. But if it's entertainment, then it's cool and it's fun.
And then it just blows the market open instead of buying real clothes, you're buying fictional clothes. And then there's a whole nother retail space that just opened up once you're buying stuff for your avatar.
Yeah, I don't think this would fit for video games.
Yeah?
I know you kind of think it's a good idea, but if I'm like some guy that's like 5'4", 120 pounds, I don't think I'm going to want my video game avatar to be 5'4",
Yeah.
120 pounds. I think you're going to want to be like 7'5", like
Yeah.
200 pounds, jacked.
Well, for the right price, you can customize it.
Yeah, I don't think I want that measure.
Yeah.
People use video games kind of like an
Yeah.
escape from that.
I feel like if you're going into an altered world, you want an altered self.
Yeah.
So people make the best version of what they see.
Okay.
They don't want to be themselves in there.
Okay.
I think the better use case of video games is for wearable tech.
Yeah.
So you can, like, things like VR.
Yeah.
You can sit around at home and
Yeah.
you can wear a shirt that has sensors in certain places that was built
Yeah.
customized for you.
Absolutely.
And, like, the way you move gets reflected in the game.
Cool. Awesome.
I think we have about 5 minutes for questions. So what questions do you guys have? Sydney?
So I guess my only question would be like, at what cost are like the customers paying for this? This $50,000 isn't just coming out of nowhere. And you're also gonna have to hire people that know what they're doing to deal with that. And then if we bounce off, I'm not sure who said it, but the fact that you're still not really gonna get rid of tailors, there's still a need for that market. It's not like you're just replacing jobs. Someone's paying for that. And usually it's gonna be the customers in one way or another, whether you realize it. So I'm curious, and I know this didn't really talk about that aspect at all, but I'm curious where I would reap those repercussions of you getting this really expensive machine that I might not probably use. Yeah.
That's a very good question, a very important practical question. I don't have the answer to it, but it is a very important question the retailers would have to figure out. Hopefully more foot traffic in the door.
Right. It just makes me curious, will they raise prices or who knows? Maybe you have to pay to use it. I don't know. That's something I'm interested to see how they would go about doing that.
Very good question.